Chances are your company's marketing efforts could be producing better results. We're here to help make your marketing smarter. Welcome to Marketing Cupcakes, bringing you the latest in marketing analytics, data science techniques, integration challenges, guerrilla marketing techniques, and more. Here are your hosts of Marketing Cupcakes, Dave and James Gilbert.
Hey guys, welcome to the first ever episode of Marketing Cupcakes. I'm your host, Dave, and this is James Gilbert.
Hey guys.
So we thought today what we'd do to start things off is talk about the name behind Marketing Cupcakes. We know it's unique, and no, we are not bakers, but it does have a really cool story behind it, and we wanted to tell you guys about that story to give you guys ideas about your marketing campaigns. Because it was a guerrilla marketing campaign or a growth hacking marketing campaign, however you want to define it, that brought in a return of about 1,100%. And we continually did this for a couple of years, and it worked really, really well. And so I want to talk about some of the methodologies behind this campaign and how it came to be and kind of our thought process behind the whole thing. So starting off, a few years back, we were doing a lot of traditional marketing, a lot of digital marketing. We were doing Facebook ads and pay-per-click and email campaigns and going to trade shows and doing a lot of things in a B2B space that you typically would do. And we were looking at ways to grow our marketing and make it even more efficient and more effective. And so the first thing that we did, and I think this is an important point, is we looked at who we were selling to and what things that they were really interested in doing. What were the things that were most important to them, and what were the ways that they like to be approached by companies that they were interested in buying from. And what in our space, what we came to find out as we researched was that our buyers really liked that personal touch. They really liked the traditional approach of a handshake, of meeting you in person. And so we thought, okay, well, how can we adjust our marketing to fit that persona? And so we said, okay, well, let's do a marketing technique, kind of a technique that we've adopted at Endure, which is just a scientific technique where you have a hypothesis and you test it, and then you scale it and tweak it, and you make sure that it's working. And once it's working, then you scale up really big. And so we did the same thing with Marketing Cupcakes. And so we had this theory that if we just visited some of our prospects, that they would actually just meet with us in person. And so I took some time and I flew down to an area outside of our headquarters to a different state. And I didn't make any appointments, but I just started driving to these companies' headquarters. And I didn't want to come empty-handed, of course. So what I did is I just drove to some bakeries and grabbed some cupcakes and grabbed some cookies. And I had about 30 places that I was visiting. And I just started dropping off cupcakes and cookies with brochures and my business card. And, I didn't get into every door. I got into one or two while I was visiting them. And so this is the second key point that I want to make, and this is the human touch. So not only was it important for me to visit them or give them something that was different, but it was also important for me to follow up. So in addition to just the people that I was visiting and talking to them in person, I would say the next key piece here was following up with them after the visit was over. And that was so key because a lot of them weren't available to talk right then, but they were so appreciative that I had stopped by or that we delivered something that they were willing to talk with us after. So I think we can't overlook that human touch point. So if we keep going and fast forward a little bit in time, so we kept doing this for a few months. We would fly to different places and deliver cupcakes. And this is the other point I want to make, is about testing and scaling our approach. So this was working great. We were getting a great return, but it was still, time consuming, and it took a lot of money to fly to these places and stay in hotels, etc. So what we did is we looked for a place that would actually deliver cupcakes for us through the mail. And we found a really cool bakery based out of DC that we'll link to in the show notes. But this bakery was actually able to freeze their cupcakes, and we would mail them a brochure and business card in hand, and they would mail these to our prospects. And it worked just as well as if we had visited them in person. And so I think the key point here is testing and scaling your approach and refining it to be more efficient over time. Because as time goes on, you find different ways of communicating and different ways of approaching your marketing that is different than what you originally set out to do. And so we did that for years. So we would mail cupcakes out to people. And what's cool is the cupcakes weren't just random cupcakes, but it actually tied back into our founding story of our first prospect that we ever closed as a client, and that we actually took their logo and we made a cake and we celebrated winning that client. And so we told that story when we sent the cupcakes out to people. And I just think it was so cool that they felt like, and this is the third point I wanted to make in this, is that we were helping them. We were doing something different, and we weren't hard selling them. We wouldn't call them and try to convince them that our product was the best thing for them. It was more of a, hey, this is what we're doing. We really want to introduce ourselves. There's a really cool story behind us. And it was just a soft approach versus a hard sell. And I think that's why it was such an effective strategy. And I don't really think I have anything else. James, do you have anything?
Sometimes we get so caught up into all the marketing tactics and strategy that we forget that there are people behind it. We can automate and we can do all these things to analyze the data behind it, but when push comes to shove, it's always about the customer and it's always about that human touch come the end. So this is a great story, something that you can implement across all channels in marketing.
Great, thank you. So guys, I guess before we end, and we're going to keep these podcasts short, and when I say short, what I mean is, some of them are going to be short like today, like 7 to 8 minutes, and some of them will be 10 to 20 minutes. But we're going to try and stay in that time frame so that it's something that you can listen to either on your drive to work or just while you're at your house, but something that you can easily get to, on a weekly basis, which is how often we'll be releasing podcasts. Something that, it's not going to be another thing on your plate to do, but just something that you can enjoy and actually get value out of. And hopefully today's story was a good incentive to think differently about your campaigns. And just remember that human touch. No matter how much you automate your systems, your marketing automation, your paid advertising, whatever it is that you're doing to automate, because we all want to automate as much as possible. Just don't forget that the human touch is so important, and just putting someone in your workflows that reaches out to the customer or to your prospect is just such a key element. And thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time on Marketing Cupcakes. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Marketing Cupcakes, an Endure podcast with your hosts, Dave and James Gilbert. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit marketingcupcakes.com. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and rate the podcast. We'll catch you next time on Marketing Cupcakes.